Namaste, Namaskaram, Vanakkam, Namo Namaha, Jai Ganesh. Visit our website at classicalyoga.org, and if you like our podcast, please subscribe. Why Ganesha? The reality of the inner essence, the spirit, the soul, the Atmana to the Hindus, is a reality of pure energy, pure light, and the feeling of lightness, heat, warmth, which translates into the human experience of love. This inner essence manifests in innumerable physical forms, material forms, and spirit forms, or beings without a physical body. All the religious traditions of the world, for better or for worse, are ultimately about focusing on this inner essence of spirit, soul, spirituality, or Atmana to the Hindus. In the Hindu yoga dharma, Hinduism, the Hindu religion, we obviously have innumerable spirit forms with material bodies and without material bodies. It's often said that there are 33 million Hindu deities, though the word God is misused, 33 million gods. And we always humorously say, no, 33 million and one, meaning that this spirit of love, light, and energy, this inner essence, manifests in innumerable names and forms. That's actually the meaning of the sloka ekam sat or sad vipra bahuravarante. Now, Hindus may look at these spirit forms without material bodies in at least three ways. One, we can look at the multitude of images carved in stone, in wood, beautiful paintings, as simply great works of art. This in itself, like visiting a museum, raises one's consciousness to a more refined, cultured level. Two, obviously, with all of the many arms, animal bodies, the different figures of the now popular Hindu deities, there's obviously something going on here. There's powerful symbolism to be learned. Now, in the Hindu yoga dharma, looking back at the Vedas, there are many deities that are not actively courted, if you will. But today we have many popular deities: Ganesha, Muruga, Shiva Shakti, or Parvati, Hanuman, Sitaram, Krishna, Vishnu, Lakshmi, Durga, Kali, Saraswati, Santoshi Ma. So there's obviously some powerful symbolism here that, for those who are interested, once learned, has a tremendous effect in one's life. And lest we think that symbolism is not important, just ask anyone about the pictures they have in their home, on their desks, pictures of loved ones. And especially if we're far apart from these loved ones, looking, or they've deceased, looking at the picture can elicit tremendous inner emotions and feelings, perhaps even a tear. An onlooker looking at the picture, if we use this as a naive scenario, would simply wonder, why are you feeling this way? Why are you crying? Just looking at, it's a picture. It's just a picture. With this analogy, we can perhaps understand when the people of the respective religions around the world look at their symbolic forms of the divine, if you will. It elicits great inner feelings and emotions, and perhaps even a tear, feelings of joy. This awakens our inner loving humanity. Number three, in the various religions of the world, certainly individuals have inner experiences to one degree or another of these spirit beings, and this is to be respected. However, this is obviously an area that can be very misused. An internal connection with one or more spirit beings is highly personal. And again, one cannot take that away from anyone or actually give it to anyone. The problem comes into play when we take an invisible deity to others and try to make that the one for everyone. So there are at least three ways that one in general, and certainly Hindus, can look at the many spirit beings in Hinduism. We call them devatas, devas and devis, male and female. One, we can simply appreciate the artwork. This is high culture, refinement. Two, we can look at the symbolism if it attracts us and learn something from it. A picture's worth 1,000 words. And number three, one may or may not have an intimate inner connection with one or more of these deities. Any one of these three is perfectly acceptable. Now, in the Hindu yoga dharma, this complexity of spirit beings can seem confusing or overwhelming, but this is simply the recognition of the multitudinous nature of creation itself. Yes, it is complex, but complex in a beautiful way. Looking at this as a challenge to understand the meaning, the symbolism, and perhaps the inner experience of one or more of these Hindu deities. With all of the many Hindu deities, male and female, most Hindus realize that the first deity is always Ganesha, Ganapati. Why? Here we look not only to the symbolism of Ganapati, but to the many stories about him. We first encounter Ganapati, Ganesha, in the Vedas as Brihaspati, the deity Pati of Brihas, speech. Sound is the first emanation of creation, and Ganesha is associated with the primal sound, Om. So Brihaspati is the male deity of speech, and Saraswati is the female deity of speech, Vach or Vak. Ganesha is synonymous with the primal sound, Pranava Om. This beautiful four-part Sanskrit word, A, U, or AUM in English, and the fourth silence in between. This beautiful Sanskrit word is described in the Vedas, in the shortest Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, the frog scripture. And the frog sits on the earth with 4 points of contact, hence a 4-point or 4-part sound to the A, U, and the all-important silence in between. The A, U, is also symbolic of our animal nature, our human nature, and our divine nature. Vaishvanara, Tejasya, Prajna, animal, human, divine, and Turiya, the Sanskrit Hindu word for the silence in between, the absolute. And in Ganesha, we see the correlation with the primal sound Om as the first sound, Ganesha as the first deity. He is animal, human, and divine, just as we are animal, human, and divine. Looking at our own human body, from the stomach down, we could look at that as our Vaishvanara, our animal body. The heart represents the human nature, the love nature, Tejasya. And our third eye point and the top of the head, Prajna, our spiritual body, our soul body, our Atmana. So we too are animal, human, and divine. Vaishvanara, Tejasya, Prajna. And Turiya, the breath in between, the beautiful silence in between, the absolute. Om Karam Bindu Samyuktam Nityam Dhyayanti Yoginaha Kamadam Mokshadam Chaiva Om Karaya Namo Namaha. This powerful primal sound, this Om Karam, has been chanted for eons of time by youthful yogis. In other words, chanting this brings about a youthful countenance, and it gives us release from an over-attachment to the bondages of the world. Om Karam Bindu Samyuktam Nityam Dhyayanti Yoginaha Kamadam Mokshadam Chaiva Om Karaya Namo Namaha. Om Mushika Vahana Modaka Hasta Chamara Karana Vilambita Sutra Vamana Rupa Maheshvara Putra Vigna Vinayaka Pada Namaskar. So we look to the primal story of Ganesha's creation to see the further symbolism of why Ganapati is primal, is first. Hindus all know the classic story of Ganesha's creation. And in the Hindu yoga dharma, we have innumerable stories, and there's always a little different twist on them, but the message is basically the same. So Mother Parvati took her morning bath, scraped the mud off of her form, formed her a son that she could adore, and stationed the boy outside of her door. Home came Shiva to visit his wife. The divine young boy showed off his might. Siva was vexed and cut off his head. So they had to look for the first animal that was dead. An elephant they found under a tree. They took his head. Voila, Ganapati. This is the story of Ganesha's birth, celebrated each year with much mirth. So in this symbolic story, we see creation from the earth itself, that earthiness, the foundation, which Ganesha also symbolizes, the first chakra, the earth element. And Ma Parvati here is the creator, creating her son who protects her, symbolic of protecting, and especially protecting the Dharma. Powerful, powerful symbolism. A young, youthful warrior. He was a boy, put in front to protect his Ma Parvati. So he stood there. Home came Shiva to visit his wife and didn't recognize that this was a being created by his wife Parvati. So Ganapati stood up bravely, even in the face of Shiva and his bhutas, his attendants. Powerful symbolism here of standing up for principles. Once we hold on to something, someone that is truthful, is a blessing in our life, it takes courage to stand up and to protect, even in the face of what seem to be insurmountable obstacles, and Ganesha becomes known as the remover of obstacles, Vigna Vinayaka, Vigneshvara, which he does through humility, through understanding. So in life, when we stand up, sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. Or a more meaningful cliche, sometimes we win, sometimes we learn. When we stand up, which takes courage, we will never always win, and we will never always lose. Sometimes we lose. And those are vital life lessons. And sometimes we lose big. In this case, Ganesha lost his head. Little gruesome, but there's powerful symbolism here. Because Shiva realizes then what he's done, and he orders his troops to go find the first animal that they find lying perhaps to the north, or just the first animal lying dead, and they take his head, and it just happens, quote unquote, to be an elephant. He takes the elephant head and with supernatural powers puts that on the head of the young boy, and now he forever becomes the beloved and probably most recognized deity in the Hindu pantheon, Ganesha, Ganapati, thereby completing the process of animal, human, and a divine being. And why the elephant? Elephants and humans have always worked well together. Elephants were basically the original heavy equipment that helped to build India. The mahouts that take care of the elephants have a tremendous love between the two of them. They bathe together, they sleep together. And anyone who has actually been next to one of these beautiful beings knows their gentle power. When one goes to many of the large mandirs in India, there's actually an elephant standing at the entrance, and you must pass by the elephant before you enter. You bow to him, and he places that heavy trunk on your head, which makes you bow. In all humility, realizing that no matter how strong we think we are, we're absolutely no match for the elephant. And elephants have so many endearing qualities. They are very family-oriented, which is Ganesha's first Shakti or power. Elephants also classically never forget, powerful memory. And this is actually the quality of the first chakra associated with Ganesha and the Om and the earth, all first foundational qualities. So Ganesha now is a complete being, though he starts as young Ganapati, Bala Ganapati, or Pilayar. And as the young Ganapati, he still has the form of a boy with two arms. Often you'll see him just standing. And later, in the mature images of Ganapati, he gets two extra arms. One is his Gadha, the other is his Pasa, the hatchet or the Gadha, the mace in one hand and the rope in the other, which is symbolic of in life we have to learn what to get rid of and what to hold on to. And Ganesha has yet to hold the laddus in his hand. And this is symbolic of reminding us that with the trunk, which is his most prominent feature, the Vilambita Sutra, it's a reminder to be strong and flexible and sensitive, and this too is a lifelong learning curve. Strength, flexibility, sensitivity. When we gain these powers, then life is sweet, as his trunk will then point to the laddu or the sweets in his hand. So now we're getting into the obvious symbolism of this beautiful form of Ganesha, and with a little reflection, these are primal life qualities. Know what to repel in our life, know what to hold on to. Being strong and flexible and sensitive, just like the elephant's trunk is, will produce a sweetness to our life. Ganesha has one short tusk, and this comes from the classic story of Ganesha taking dictation for sage Vasya, and Ganesha's pen broke. Immediately, without thinking, he broke his tusk, dipped it in the inkwell, and continued writing. In other words, total dedication to the task at hand, and total humility, being willing to disfigure himself for the greater task at hand. Ganesha's large ears are also a constant reminder to listen. Listen to words of wisdom from outside, from inside. This is the jnana experience. And also, if you watch the elephants, they use their ears as a fan to keep themselves cool. The cooling breezes of darshan, the cooling breezes of Shakti, that the devotee who has sensitized themselves feels. And Ganesha also has his very notable rotund belly, kind of a Santa Claus figure. And it's not a symbolism to be obese, but rather one of joyfulness. Just like Santa Claus, who laughs and his belly shakes like a bowl full of jelly. And something very interesting, that the Sanskrit Hindu word Santa, or Shanta, generally in the north, means peace, Santa. And Nicola means deity of all, Santa Nicola. So is Ganapati the original Santa Nicola? And there's so many other wonderful symbolisms to Ganesha and the modern Santa Claus. Ganesha Puja, focusing on Ganesha, always brings about a sense of joy, laughter, as opposed to some of the other deities whose vibration is more intense, perhaps more internal and solitary. Ganesha always brings out a sense of playfulness and joy, beloved by all, young and old alike. Pillayar, the young Ganapati. Now, as a mature Ganapati, we often see him sitting with one foot down and one foot up, reminding us to keep the all-important balance in life of one foot in the world, taking care of our external responsibilities, but keep the other foot up into the spirit. Profound balance so that we don't get lost in material life, and so that we also don't naively abandon our worldly responsibilities. And of course, Ganesha's little friend is Mushika, the little mouse, from the greatest to the smallest, friends forever. And Ganesha is said to emanate 5 Shaktis or 5 powers, and they follow each other just like concentric circles, from the first circle of harmony with family, to harmony with friends, to harmony in our business life, to a love and appreciation of culture, and finally a love of the divine. And this is celebrated at the modern festival of Ganapati, which is an alternative to the Western Christmas festival. A little reflection shows that without the first Shakti of harmony with the family, everything in life will be difficult or simply not as successful as it could be. Simply looking at the symbolism of Ganapati, again, a picture is worth 1,000 words, brings home all of these important factors that make life stable, providing a good foundation from which to rise. Remembering our animal, human, and divine nature, work with all three. Be strong and flexible and sensitive, and then life is sweet. Be humble like his one tusk. Listen to words of wisdom, the big ears. Know what to repel in life, know what to hold close. Seek contentment, the belly, santoshi. Keep one foot in the world, one foot in the spirit. And be humble like little Mushika. Ganapati, we love you. And all Hindus should know that it's true, that you are the one that brings us together. Let us sing your praises today. You're the Pati of the Ganas, the elementals too. This is your function, this is what you do. Manifestation of the word, the holy Om, first sound that's heard. And in our religion there are some Saivites and Shaktites, Vaishnavas and Smartas too, but you are the one that binds us true. Family, friends, and business too, the love of culture, this is you. Your 4 Shaktis and one more, the love of you that opens every door. Pranava Om's your holy mantra, Om Varada, Jai Varada Mahavalabha, Ganapati Om. Animal, human, divine, this is the form of yours and mine. Vaishvanara Tejasya Prajna Turiya, Mandukya Upanishad. And be strong and flexible, sensitive too. The sweetness of life is there for you. Seek contentment, have no fear. He'll remove all your obstacles and draw you near. And listen to the wisdom that's for you. Keep one foot on the ground and the other up to you. And let's not forget our little friend Mushika the mouse. Like him, Ganapati runs around this house. So it should be clear why Ganesha is first, because of all of these foundational qualities, the earthiness, the first chakra, the connection with the primal sound, the first mantra, Om, the primal Shaktis of family harmony. With this foundation, we gain a sense of unity as a Hindu family, no matter what our sampradaya. And we'll do a future podcast on the gem principle, understanding the dynamic forces of physics and how it applies to the progressive step-by-step process of the deities within the different Hindu sampradayas, always starting with Ganesha first. So clearly this is why Ganapati. And in previous podcasts, we also did a why Ganapati, meaning the questioning Ganapati, who reminds us again as Hindus to stand up for the Hindu dharma and stop letting other people completely distort our great Hindu yoga dharma. But there's a third aspect to why Ganapati, the letter why Ganapati. He is Yoga Ganapati. In his form, you can see the classic 4 yogas. Karma Yoga, ethics, selfless service, knowing what to get rid of in our life. The Gata. Bhakti Yoga, the rope, knowing what to hold on to in life, devotion. The trunk, the Vilamita Sutra, the Raja Yoga experience of Kundalini. And then Jnana Yoga, the fullness of enlightenment, the fullness of his belly, Santoshama. Also in 1 foot down in the world, Karma Yoga. 1 foot up, Bhakti Yoga. The Bindu, the third eye point, Raja Yoga, concentration, contemplation. And his big ears, listening to the inner wisdom, Gyan or Jnana Yoga. And then little Mushika, we see all the 4 yogas. He is the Karma Yogi, forever serving Ganapati. He is the Bhakta Yogi. Look at him. He's watching Ganesha holding the laddu. Mice do not do that. They just eat ravenously. But Mushika is a divine little mouse. He holds the laddu and says his prayers first. Bhakti Yoga. His gaze is intent upon Mahaganapati, Raja Yoga. And he has Samadhi, Jnana Yoga, Kaivalya, liberation, moksha, for he gets to forever live at the feet of Mahaganapati. And regarding the inner workings of the Raja Yoga experience in Kundalini, we see some mystical messages here in the way in which Ganesha's trunk faces. When his trunk goes to the right, that's harmonizing the right side of the body with the left pingala or male brain. When his trunk goes to the left, it's harmonizing the left side of the body and the right idda or feminine brain. When his trunk is balanced right in the center, it's the harmony of the ida or the idda, the pingala and the shushmana. When his trunk is raised straight up, it's the kundalini going up the spine. O Ganapati, how we love thee. You have shown us the way. Karma, Bhakti, Raja, Jnana is the way. Animal, human, divine, this is the form of yours and mine. Vaishvanara, Tejasya, Prajna, Turiya. Seek contentment, have no fear. 1 foot on the ground, the other up in here. And little Mushika, divine little mouse, humbly teach us, if all else we forget, that the spirit, the Atmana, flows through this house. So be proud to be a Hindu and stand up, just like Ganesha is, for the Hindu yoga dharma. He represents Rakshaseva, to protect and to serve the dharma. And this is our duty as Hindus, Rakshaseva, to protect and to serve the Hindu dharma, and then wear a badge of Hindu honor, H-O-N-O-R, Hindu origins now, or we will continue to suffer the consequences. Stand up for the Hindu dharma. Jai Ganesh.